A prisoner is sneaking closely behind a prison guard. The guard takes a step forward and he follows right after. The guard senses someone nearby, but no matter how he looks left and right, there's no one in sight. This prisoner, Tae-suk, tries over and over, 4 times in total, until he truly masters that legendary invisibility trick. First time, the guard presses his face against the cell window, peering inside. There's no one there. He hurries into the cell to check. Just as he turns around, whoa, there's Tae-suk, huddled in the corner with a little smirk on his face. The guard gives him a sharp slap. Hide like that again, and you'll go without meals today. Tae-suk takes the hit, but the smile stays on his lips. He turns right back to improving his invisibility trick, stepping onto a protruding ledge on the wall, gripping the wall with both hands, and inching upward bit by bit. Second time, the guard lifts the small iron window. Sure enough, the prisoner is gone again. He enters the cell, looks left and right, still no sign of him. In such a tiny space, where could he be hiding? He looks up suddenly. Tae-suk is curled up on the ceiling. The guard grabs his baton and strikes Tae-suk's rear twice. Tae-suk falls to the ground with a thud. The guard keeps hitting him while scolding, "Hide again, and I'll make you disappear for good." Tae-suk covers his head to protect himself, but that smile never leaves his face. Prisoner Tae-suk uncovers the secret to invisibility. The human eye has a 180-degree field of vision. If you slip into that blind spot, theoretically, you might as well be invisible. Tae-suk stretches his arms out flat, representing that 180-degree range. Then he starts tucking his fingers in, moving them so slowly that not even his peripheral vision can catch them. That way, he's safely in the blind spot. Third time, the guard comes to check again, and once more the prisoner is playing his vanishing trick. He walks into the cell and immediately spots a prison uniform lying on the floor. He checks left, no one. Looks up, no one. The guard moves forward step by step, feeling the prisoner must be close by, but he can't find him. Unease starts to creep in. He suddenly spins around. Still no one. Little does he know, Tae-suk is right behind him. He'd taken off his shoes, so he moves without a sound. The guard suddenly looks down, notices an extra shadow on the ground, and quickly pulls out his baton. He spins around in a flash and catches Tae-suk red-handed, but Tae-suk is still smiling. The guard flies into a rage, hitting Tae-suk with the baton and knocking him to the ground. "You never learn, do you? Forgot about your shadow?" he growls. "You'd better guess what I'm thinking. Guess where I'll look next." To perfect his invisibility trick, Tae-suk uses the guard as his practice target every day. He's lost count of how many beatings he's endured, but his smile never fades. He draws an eye on his palm, representing the guard's gaze and thoughts. He's constantly guessing, what is the guard thinking right now? Day after day of practice, Tae-suk finally gets it down perfectly. The cell can't hide him anymore. Fourth time, the guard checks the cell again, sees the prisoner is gone, and immediately flies into a rage. "Still trying to fool me? I'll teach you a lesson." He rushes into the cell to check, expecting Tae-suk to be behind him, but there's nothing, not even a shadow on the ground. The guard is confused when someone suddenly taps him on the shoulder. Then a fist hits him, knocking him to his knees. Another punch, and he tumbles to the door. Furious, the guard charges back into the cell. Another punch lands, but he still can't see who hit him. Now, he's truly scared. He slams the cell door shut with a clang. This prisoner, unseen and untouchable, is like a ghost. After the guard scurries away, Tae-suk finally comes into view, a mysterious smile on his face. Strange, isn't it? Tae-suk isn't even in a hurry to escape. So why is he putting so much effort into mastering invisibility? Tae-suk never spends a penny on a place to stay. Before he winds up in prison, he goes door to door posting flyers, then checks back every 3 days. If a flyer is still stuck there, untouched, that means the homeowner is away. Tae-suk strolls right over, picks the lock, and moves in with his bag. First, he checks every corner to make sure no one is home, then checks the voicemail to see how long the owners will be away. He uses their toothpaste and toothbrush, takes a nice semi-comfortable shower, picks out some clothes that fit, and eats whatever leftovers are in the fridge. But Tae-suk doesn't stay for free. He fixes anything that is broken, gives the house a thorough cleaning before leaving, washes all the clothes, and finally he even snaps a photo with the house stuff as a little keepsake. Tae-suk spends 365 days a year living in other people's homes. One day, he finds a fancy mansion and moves right in. What he doesn't notice is the lady of the house, Soon-hwa, hiding in the corner. Her face is black and blue from the beatings, and she just stares at him, silent. Tae-suk wanders through this million-dollar mansion, flipping through Sun-hwa's photo album. Some of the shots are pretty racy. Suddenly, the phone rings. It's the millionaire husband shouting anxiously into the receiver, "I shouldn't have hit you. Can I apologize?" So that's what's going on. Sun-hwa is being abused. Tae-suk just brushes it off. He goes about his usual routine, eating, doing laundry, watering the plants with a spray bottle. After his shower, he even fixes the scale. Sun-hwa sits quietly off to the side, watching him tend to the house. That night, Tae-suk climbs into bed, placing Sun-hwa's photo album next to his pillow, daydreaming about her. Just then, Sun-hwa suddenly opens the door. She stands with her arms crossed, staring straight at him. Tae-suk jumps in surprise, quickly flips on the light, and sits up, his heart skipping a beat. Oh no! Oh no! If she turns me into the police, what then? At that moment, the phone rings again, but Sun-hwa acts like she doesn't hear it, still staring at him. It isn't until the husband's voice comes through the voicemail. "If you don't answer, I'll come back and beat you senseless." That Sun-hwa slowly gets up to answer. Tae-suk quickly throws on his clothes, grabs his things, and prepares to slip out. But Sun-hwa suddenly lets out a scream, then just stares at him silently. Her eyes are like a dead, stagnant pool. They burn into Tae-suk's mind. He'd been ready to leave, but he worries she might do something desperate, so he turns back. Glancing through the glass, he sees Sun-hwa sitting in the tub, hugging her knees and sobbing. Tae-suk picks up the clothes she's taken off, chooses a new dress for her, and puts on a song to cheer her up. Sun-hwa walks out of the bathroom and silently puts on the clothes he's laid out. Just then, a golf ball rolls gurgling to her feet. Tae-suk has tossed it over. Sun-hwa knows he is trying to make her laugh, so she throws it back. They toss the ball back and forth, playing like that. Sun-hwa throws it again, but this time, the millionaire steps on it. He grabs her arm and snarls, "Why didn't you answer the phone? Is my apology not enough? Did I not hit you hard enough?" When Sun-hwa stays silent, he quickly switches to a soft tone, apologizing and trying to soothe her. But it doesn't last. His true colors quickly come out. The millionaire reaches over, making unwanted advances towards Sun-hwa. She flinches away instinctively, and slap! A sharp blow lands on her face. The millionaire starts hitting and yelling again, switching between gentle and violent in the blink of an eye. To put it plainly, he's just venting his emotions and that lousy desire of his. He doesn't see Sun-hwa as a person at all. Tae-suk, watching from the side, can't stand it anymore. He deliberately hits the ball, making noise on purpose. The millionaire hears it, lets go of Sun-hwa, and presses his face to the glass, only to spot a stranger. He pulls out his phone, ready to call the police. But Tae-suk suddenly takes a few steps forward, aiming right at the millionaire. No matter how he threatens, crack! Tae-suk slams the ball into him, knocking him to the ground. Sun-hwa's eyes stay calm as she thinks. So this devil who beats her every day, even he'll lie on the ground yowling when he gets hit. Tae-suk hits 3 more balls, his gaze growing fiercer by the second. On the 4th, he suddenly stops, looking at Sun-hwa, as if waiting for her to decide. When he sees she's worried about him, Tae-suk finally stops. He picks up the golf ball and heads outside, revving his motorcycle engine until it roars loudly. Sun-hwa hears the sound and her mind clears. She steps around the millionaire, who's begging for help on the floor, climbs onto the back of the motorcycle, wraps her arms around Tae-suk's waist, and they leave the mansion just like that. Tae-suk and Sun-hwa don't work at all. Every day, they post flyers on doorsteps, and while they wait, they keep busy. Tae-suk drills holes in golf balls, threads them with wire, and ties them to a tree, practicing his golf swing over and over. Sun-hwa thinks back to how he protected her last night, thinking to herself, this quiet guy, maybe he's not so cold after all. Before long, they slip into another house. Tae-suk checks that no one's home, then checks the voicemail like always. After that, he takes down the clock to fix it. Sun-hwa doesn't idle either. Wordlessly, she picks up the dirty clothes to wash, including Tae-suk's. Tae-suk can't help but smile as he watches. He serves Sun-hwa a bowl of rice, cooks 4 dishes with his own hands, and even slides the plate closer to her. Sun-hwa has never been treated with such kindness in her life. For a moment, she can barely believe it. When Tae-suk takes out a camera to snap a memento photo, Sun-hwa leans into the frame on her own. Their first photo together is taken. A few days later, they head out to find their next place to stay. Tae-suk and Sun-hwa sneak into another home. The owner this time is a boxer. They spot a pair of boxing gloves right as they walk in. They huddle up to snap a memento photo, then open a bottle of red wine, sipping it casually. Sun-hwa finishes her glass, thinking back to the beatings, to her miserable marriage. A pain of sadness hits, and she chugs another cup, then starts sobbing softly. Tae-suk gently wraps his arm around her shoulder. A long-lost sense of safety spreads through her from the warmth of his hand. Sun-hwa slowly leans against him, tears falling silently. Sun-hwa is drunk. Tae-suk tucks a blanket around her, ready to sleep in the living room. But Sun-hwa grabs his arm, pulling him onto the bed, then snuggles close. They stay like that, clinging to each other for warmth. Unexpectedly, the owner comes back. The boxer sees the lights on as soon as he walks in, realizes someone's broken in, and immediately slips on his gloves and starts pummeling Tae-suk. Luckily, his wife rushes over to stop him. "Nothing's missing from the house," she says. He looks at Tae-suk's face, swollen to a pulp, and suddenly feels too embarrassed to call the police. Life as drifters works for them, and they're perfectly fine with it. Tae-suk and Sun-hwa sleep on park benches and eat instant noodles. Sun-hwa blows on the noodles to cool them, then feeds Tae-suk, and Tae-suk is grinning from ear to ear, but trouble finds them anyway. The next day, they sneak into an old apartment building, slipping into an old home. Inside lives an elderly man who's been dead for days. Only a small dog sits guard beside him. Tae-suk tries to reach the old man's son, only to learn the family's on vacation in Jeju Island for 7 days. Leaving the old man alone, the two clean up the old man's body, then clean the whole house from top to bottom. They're eating dinner that night when, unexpectedly, the couple returns early. The son can't find his father and immediately accuses them of kidnapping. He slams the door and calls the police. They're taken to the police stations. The sheriff spots their camera, sees they've been entering other people's homes, and barks, "Did you kill the old man? How much have you stolen?" Neither says a word. The sheriff skips the red tape and starts beating them to force a confession. The sheriff slaps Tae-suk across the face, slap after slap, over and over. Tae-suk clamps his jaw shut, saying nothing, just staring defiantly at the sheriff. The sheriff sends his men to check the old man's house. The police find the old man's body in the backyard. The son breaks down crying. If he was murdered, would they have buried him with this much care? Back at the station, the sheriff keeps pressing, flipping through missing persons reports. He finds Sun-hwa's name. He calls the millionaire, then piles charges on them. Kidnapping, murder, robbery. Enough to lock you up for life, but the police bring back the autopsy results. The old man died of lung cancer. His body was buried neatly, and none of the homeowners in their photos reported missing items. The sheriff's completely confused. There's no way this kid's innocent. He glares at Tae-suk, who's smiling, like he's mocking the sheriff's incompetence. Enraged, the sheriff grabs a ball and chucks it at Tae-suk's head. Soon after, the sheriff gets a bribe from the millionaire, ordering him to send Tae-suk to prison. Tae-suk gets hauled under a bridge, clueless about what's coming. The millionaire sets down a golf ball, lifts his club, and whoosh, a golf ball slams into Tae-suk. He curls up in pain like a little shrimp. The sheriff watches from the car, still unsatisfied, wishing he could take a few swings himself. Tae-suk grits his teeth, making no sound, his eyes locked on the millionaire. He takes 4 hits before it stops. Tae-suk is soon thrown in prison. There, he does nothing but drill relentlessly on his invisibility trick. Once he's released, he heads straight for the sheriff to get revenge. In an underground parking lot, a golf ball rolls, gurgling, to the sheriff's feet. He bends to pick it up, confused. Where'd this come from? Next second, bang, a golf ball slams into him. He clutches his stomach, looking around, but can't find who threw it. Ball after ball hits him, 4 in total. The sheriff collapses, howling in pain with no clue where the attacker is. That night, Tae-suk returns to Sun-hwa's house. Sun-hwa waits until the millionaire is asleep, then sneaks out of bed. She walks to the living room mirror, sees Tae-suk behind her, and reaches out to touch his face. The millionaire wakes up, confused. "What are you doing up at this hour?" Sun-hwa turns, suddenly smiling, and says, "I love you." The millionaire blinks. "Was that for me?" The millionaire has never seen his wife this soft. He immediately pulls her into his arms. Unaware, her hand is slowly rising. From that night on, the millionaire notices his wife is cheerier. She cooks huge meals every day, always smiling at him, but he keeps feeling someone's behind him. When he turns right, Tae-suk picks up food from the left. When he turns left, Tae-suk picks up from the right. Sun-hwa laughs harder watching this, and the millionaire, confused but happy, laughs along. Once the millionaire leaves for work, Sun-hwa searches for Tae-suk in the house. She knows he's right behind her, but can't see him. Smiling, she lifts her arms and steps back, step by step, until she pins Tae-suk against the wall. They stare at each other silently, and they ended up living happily ever after. The movie is called 3 Iron. If you dug this video, hit like and subscribe. Catch you next time.